What's up, guys? We're back for another episode of our podcast, Stories Beyond the Field. I'm Gabe,
I'm Hayden, and today
and
our
today,
special guest here is Kaiea Hudgins. He's a swimmer here at Hawaii Preparatory Academy. He's currently a senior, and he's going into his senior swim season. Tell us how you're feeling about that. Are you excited, nervous? What's going through your mind?
I wouldn't say I'm excited, but, I think I'm kind of taking it as if it were, a normal season. Nothing special.
Okay, good.
so let's kind of talk about a little bit like way early on. Like, what made you want to be a swimmer over like other sports that were available?
Well, I've been swimming here at this pool since I was 5, and so that's like 12 years of being just in the sport and around it. So I kind of just took off from there, and I didn't really make a switch from that.
Any specific reason you didn't want to play like, I don't know, soccer or basketball or anything else?
Well, before high school, I, was more open to trying different sports because I wasn't super in tune with swimming until my freshman year and my freshman year season. That was probably the best, most fun experience I've had in the sport. And kind of from that also made me realize that I think I'm more fitting to just be in swimming instead of having to relearn a whole nother sport and going through that whole process.
What is it about like swimming that kind of stood out to you at a young age?
Well, what stood out my freshman year, like in the moment, was just how much I improved in quite a short time. By the end of the year, I was state record holder for my age, which wasn't too far from the record older than like in the next age division. And looking at it in the moment, that was mainly the reason why it stood out. But looking at it from where I am now is most likely because of the people that I was around at that time. It was just always fun. It was new. Yeah, overall, it was just really enjoyable because of the people around me.
Well, talking about the people around you, who really influenced you the most, kind of gave you the best advice to put yourself out there and push you past your limits?
Well, I wouldn't say anyone specifically told me anything. It was more like the seniors at that time. I could tell they had, a passion for doing well, at least at states, especially on the relays, which I always did far better in relays than my individuals at that point. So it was kind of just like filling in the gaps that I could on making it the best, not just for myself, but also for the people that were leaving as it was their last year.
So it was like a big part of it is like an environment thing. Like the environment
Yeah.
made you feel really good.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's something that swimming has taught you about yourself in the many years that you've been doing it?
Well, I can speak on the past 3 years I've been doing it in high school because, that's really when I started to take the sport seriously. I can say that in swimming, I've experienced probably some of my lowest I've ever been. And from there, it kind of makes you look back at how you view yourself, how you view the sport and such. My worst year was my sophomore year. I hit a plateau and I didn't know how to really get out of it. So I kind of crumbled that year really badly. Looking back at it the following year, I was really hopeful for that year since I knew I wasn't in a plateau anymore. I knew what I could do. I knew what I should do. And I just had more of a guidance to where I should be going. And at the start of that year, I had a shoulder injury and that kind of turned it down. Just keeping a positive mind and making sure that I know to myself that I can do pretty much anything I need to do and kind of make it as a necessity rather than something that I can do really helps, push it through.
So what do you think really like made you hit that plateau? Anything different in your routine or what was it you think?
I'm not exactly sure. I think it kind of just comes and goes sometimes. It won't feel right for, X amount of time. So I can't say anything specifically kind of made me hit that plateau, but I can say it just came up and I had to just deal with it from that.
And by dealing with it, did you really find anybody you could rely on to boost you out of that kind of mindset that you were failing and that you weren't meeting expectations? Did anybody kind of help you get out of it and you were in a state where you could be, enjoying it even though you're in such a hard state?
Well, people around me, such as coaches and family members, had encouraged me, saying that it's, just a part of the process. and it just comes up and you kind of just have to deal with it. Me being hard headed, I mean, I didn't improve at all through that whole season. I kind of, didn't listen to anything around me. And at least for a few months until the end of the year, I did see at least myself evening out my times, which is better than, adding almost a second onto it. So when I was before that, I was I was kind of hard headed and I didn't really listen to anything. But after I seen that I was starting to get out of it, or I seen some sort of progression, then I kind of really leaned into what they were saying and started trusting on what I was being told. So
How important is it for a high school athlete to have that kind of support system that like kind of just tells you how to improve consistently without making it seem like they're just nagging you for everything you're doing wrong?
I think it's really important. It's one thing to be told something, and it's another thing to actually see progression. And it is difficult, especially once you reach a certain level, like in track and swimming, race based sports where milliseconds are really the difference maker. It's much easier to understand through actually seeing progression through making times and such, rather than being told that one thing's getting better and the other thing's, lacking. So it's really, you have to, I don't know, it's like stepping out of your comfort zone on really trusting on what you're being told. So it's hard, but once you do it for long enough, you'll realize that you can trust on what other people are saying. So
Okay. Here's a good one for you. As athletes, we all hit plateaus, and in really deep spots, we kind of, make ourselves feel ashamed. And we kind of tell ourselves we're not good enough.
mhm.
Although coaches are there to back you up, you feel that need to kind of shut everybody out. And so, for example, with me playing football, I had a really horrible sophomore season. I hit a massive stump, and I just wanted to push everybody aside and kind of be sorry for myself. And in order for me to get out of that, I really had to rely on myself and tell myself that I could improve each season to get to the point where I am now and I get the chance to play in college. So for you, when you kind of were hard headed and pushed everybody away, was there a way you could rely on yourself to get yourself out of that plateau?
I tried to, and there are times where I believe that, I can do something that will be the changer of the season, or will be the change of the trajectory I was on. And when I did that, sometimes, actually most of the time until the end of the season, didn't work. And even though I started to gain confidence before certain meets, I knew I could do this or that. And I told myself that when it didn't happen, it kind of added to the fire of the plateau. Telling yourself it helps, but at the same time, I found it that it's probably best to be accepting on like just the circumstances. Cause I personally told myself that I would do really good at this meet. It didn't happen. It kind of got worse from there. And that went through like 6 different meets until at the end of the year, I finally evened out at my time. And then I kind of realized, it's good to be confident, but it's not healthy to be, have fairly high expectations from where you are, like how everything's been going.
I feel you. I understand that completely.
So that being said, going into like a meet week where you're coming off of a week that was kind of tough, you didn't have your best week, your performance didn't meet your expectations for yourself. Like, how do you mentally reset going forward?
Well, I've always hated the thought of a reset. I mean, what I've been told I've been told to take some time off as a reset, which I hated at that time because, if I never seen improvement, obviously I'm either not doing enough or I'm not doing the correct thing. And I went down the road of not doing enough. So taking a reset, which was advised to me as taking time off, kind of made me even more aggravated at what I was doing. It kind of made me feel like I was doing something wrong myself and that I needed to reevaluate myself. But I do so going through a plateau, taking a reset was hard for me. But now that I'm not in a plateau and, I'm training regularly, taking a resets are really nice, especially after 2 weeks, 3 weeks of hard training. Taking a reset, letting yourself rest and not be exhausted is really nice. And I've seen a lot of improvement from taking those little short breaks. Just a week, few days to a week was really, really a game changer the more I did it.
I mean, yeah, like just kind of taking some time off of anything and letting yourself kind of figure out what went well and what you could do better, and just kind of giving yourself to like the time to regather your confidence or whatever is so important. So
Hmm.
that I can agree with. Let's talk about a little bit about some of your experiences in the sport itself. First of all, like how's your relationship with your coaches? Like, are you guys close, or is there a very clear high power distance? Like, I'm the coach, you're the swimmer, just shut up and listen to me type of relationship.
Well, I would say most of the swimmers, especially for swimming as long as I've been on our team, I mean, it's the same coach for both club and high school. You get fairly close to your coach. I would say I'm fairly close to my coach, but there are moments where it's like, you do have to honestly just put your head down and listen to what they're saying and do what they need you to do.
And how about your teammates? Are you guys close as well?
Yeah, I would say we're fairly close. I mean, we all go through the same thing day by day. So, and we see each other, especially for the people that are both on club and high school, we're seeing each other almost every day year round. So, yeah, you grow a fairly strong connection to each other through that.
And talking about high school, you are a student athlete. So, of course, before participating in any swim meet, grades are obviously come first as being a student athlete. So, what challenges do you think you face more because you participate not only in school, family time, and sports than rather like a regular student would, where they just participate in school and family time?
Hmm. Well, for sports, obviously, especially if you're, striving for even bigger goals and than just high school, if you're striving for collegiate or even professional levels, you really take hours at a time. I personally train like 3 to 4 hours daily just for swimming. That's nearly half my day already. So it is difficult to juggle athletics at a higher level in school with compared to just being a student. And, I think it's hard for people to consider that.
And here's another funny part. Because actually most of your coaches are relatively your teachers, how does that go down? Is there a day where you guys mainly just, even though you're in class, you have that conversation about swimming? Or do they really relatively like, this is time is for school and this time is for swim?
Well, I would say that they separate it. You can hear conversations or partake in conversations during practice or before practice with the coach and your teacher, or like about schooling. But once it comes time to practice, it's practice. So it's not school; it's just practice.
So it's like a super different vibe, like outside of the pool and in the classroom.
Yeah, I mean, same person, just different subjects.
Yeah, that makes sense. So talking about earlier, you said you train really hard, like 3 to 4 times a week, right? Or 3 to 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, like swim practices can be pretty early, right? And they can be pretty demanding.
Yeah.
So like how do you like dig down deep and push through all the things that come with that? Like it's early, you're probably really tired, and also the pool water is probably freaking cold, right? Because I mean,
Yeah,
we
fairly
go we go
cold
to
in the morning.
yeah, we go to school in up in Waimea, so it's not gonna be warm. So like how do you
Right.
find it in you to kind of push through all those things?
You know, when you grow a attachment or a passion for something, the things around it kind of become just, things around it. It's not a subject to even think about at that time. So I'll show up to practice early in the morning and realize the pool water's cold, but you'll kind of make a comment on that to either people around you or yourself. But once you kind of start getting kickstarted on, it's practice, you have to do something, you'll be fine. You'll stop thinking about the things around you and focus on what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that, like, especially that early in the morning, like, even for other things like football where you have to go to, like, a 5 AM lift, like, you don't wanna be there, like, it sucks, but then you
Yeah.
remember, like, there's a reason I'm here, because I
Hmm.
wanna get better and I wanna help this team, so, like you said, you just have to push through the small things,
Yeah.
and then one more thing before we transition, what is the difference in your routine in prepping for, like, a week of practice versus prepping for a meet?
Well, from what I can say, or from my understanding of how I view it, for regular swim meets, We don't do much prepping. I mean, we continue at least 4 of the 5 practice days with normal practice. And then up until the day before, we have either a shortened practice and go into more skill specific things, or we just go straight into like we do our meet warm up, the same warm up that we will do at the meet. And then we'll work on again some of our skills such as dives or underwaters, anything specific to ourselves.
Sounds like kind of a lot. Ish.
Same about, yeah, ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say anything because that's pretty much just what we've been doing or what I've been doing this whole time. So,
And I'm
Yeah,
sure you're
you're just used to
probably
it.
used to it. Yeah.
yeah.
So this is gonna be hard because not everybody's is gonna have like a specific one for it. But we have a little segment on the show where we like to have somebody bring in like a song or something that they kind of do or listen to
Mhm,
put themselves in a better mood or hype
mhm.
themselves up for like competition or whatever. Do you have a song that you listen to do that?
At swim meets, I like to listen to "Bad Meets Evil" by Eminem, and forgetting the other guy's name right off the top of my head. But yeah, that's my main like hype up song. Just kind of get me in the groove and the mood.
What specifically about it? Like the
Um,
beat? You like the
yeah,
energy
I
that
like
comes
the
with it?
beat. I don't really pay attention to music or lyrics in music. I'm more of a arithmetic person, I would
I
say.
I got you.
Yeah.
No, that's a good song, man. You just hear it and you're ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah? You take off that swim jacket and you're ready to just get going?
Yeah.
There you go, there you go. That's a song. That's a good song, man. We're gonna transition things over to the mental side of swimming. Obviously, maybe that's not a huge focal point compared to it is in maybe football or basketball, but we really want to get your opinion on it. So first off, are there times swimming helps you combat anxiety? I know obviously you spoke about how a lot of the times it puts you in this dark space, but are there other times you're really looking forward to it because you might have had a bad school day or something like that, and it could just take all that kind of pressure off of you?
I would say the biggest moments that you could probably get excited for swimming are probably the times that you're out of it. I mean, when I injured my shoulder, I had to take a 6 week break, which turned into also a first couple of weeks of just getting movement in my shoulder in the water rather than actually swimming. So the first day that I actually came back, yeah, I was super excited. I really wanted to get back in. And yeah, I didn't have any other thought on my mind really when I first got back in because I wanted to swim. So no anxiety, no nothing. I didn't just wanted to swim.
Good. So what was recovery like? Like how yeah, I guess just what was recovery like and how did you deal with the mental side of being injured?
It was hard, especially for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because what I was told, like quite literally couldn't do anything with my shoulder, especially nothing strenuous. So first 3 weeks, I kind of just did, yeah, I just did nothing. And I laid in bed all day. I kept thinking about my shoulder would feel better one day and think, oh, maybe my time will shorten. And then the next day it would feel not better. It was a process and it was really an up and down thing until I was the last 2 weeks of it. I kind of just accepted the fact that I had to wait just 2 more weeks because, it didn't seem as long as the past 4 weeks. Yeah, so just the recovery part that was fairly hard up until I knew I could start moving my shoulder again. I could start going back in the water. Getting back into the water, not as fun as I thought it was going to be. Since I didn't do anything, I pretty much lost everything. And it took couple of weeks until I felt like I was good enough to do a swim set. Definitely not near comfortable with training as hard as I was prior to the injury, but it was something to build on. So,
This will be my last question, then Hayden can ask his last question and we can wrap it up. But like how were your teammates during that time of you being injured? Like were they fairly supportive of you? Could there have been better support? Like what was that like for you?
well, when I was injured, I didn't really talk much. I wasn't in the greatest mood to really talk to anyone, especially about swimming. So I kind of just pushed everything off to the side and everyone off to the side as well. So I was kind of just the only opinions that were given to me were either from myself, which weren't the most positive, and my family, which really tried to keep me like sane. But probably getting back into it, some of my good swim friends I talked to, and they were very encouraging on it shouldn't take that long. And it really didn't when I really started to look at um how long it's been. I mean, if you swim for months on end and you gain just a little bit, and that feeling of I've been back in swimming for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I start to feel like I'm gaining a lot more than I ever have in that period of time. It was exciting.
And then based off that, when you weren't in the pool,
Mm.
how did you cope outside of it? Were you with friends? Were you kind of like, maybe you focus on video games or other things like that, but what really helped you cope outside of it?
Well, when I was recovering or like,
Yeah, like when you were in that 6-week window where you couldn't do anything and you just kind of had to
um,
deal with it.
that 6 week window, I kind of just like bed rotted. I did quite literally nothing. And I was kind of really, getting into my head at that time. And I didn't really think that I was going to meet, because I still had, a few more months of the year, and it was turning into long course season, and I was really excited for that. And, I was kind of really getting into my head about not going to hit any of my goals. So I didn't do much on that time. When I was able to get back in the water, though, at home, I started to experiment with weight training again. Obviously, not a lot, just, getting some sort of out of the water training just to boost, that recovery phase or that strengthening phase. And other than that, I kind of just went day by day, telling myself it'll get better sooner. The more I can do.
That's
Good
the main
stuff.
thing, man. All right, Kaiea, it was great to have you on the show, bro. Kind of just as a closing question, how has your mindset as a swimmer changed over time?
That's a good question. Freshman year, didn't have anything on my mind other than doing the best for my team. Sophomore year came with goals, high expectations. Didn't happen. Junior year came in with high goals again and really confident towards them since, I hit the plateau and I started coming out of it. So it strengthened from there. And then entering senior year, still confident, have even higher goals. So I definitely became more knowledgeable on what I can do and what I can't do, and really what's realistic towards the sport. Rather than me, when I first started getting into it, I kind of just expected things to happen. And obviously, that's not how it works. So yeah, I just became more knowledgeable, which in turn creates a better mindset for a lot of the things.
Sounds like you had quite the character arc, man. Good stuff. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. Thank you for coming on. Best of luck to you for the rest of your senior semester. Stay tuned for more episodes. We'll have more people coming on soon. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
For sure, man. You guys take care.